Very good morning, everyone. Very good morning. Welcome to today's Unit 2 class, everybody. I hope all of you are keeping fine. There are still a few more to join us online. Okay, hopefully they'll join us. Right, everybody, we have started JavaScript and we have done a certain amount in it. And the thing that we came and stopped at last was something known as arrays. What was so special about arrays? We learnt of constants, we learnt of variables. What does arrays offer that a variable or a constant doesn't offer? An array, everybody, I'll show you all what we did. So everyone look here. I'll keep this up. No, everybody, this is an example of an array. Yeah, this is an example of an array. What do you all see inside it? One value or multiple values? You will see multiple values, right? An array can store multiple values. So everybody over here, arrays, every item in an array has a number. What were we calling that number? Like basically an address. Every item, we don't say item also. What do you call for the items that are inside an array? We were using the word, everybody, you don't say items in an array, you say objects. No, objects is separate. We're going to learn that later on. Elements. Okay, the items that are inside an array, we call them elements. Okay, and every element has an address. We don't say address, we say its position. What do we call it? Its position starts at number what? 0. No, starts at 0. What do we call it? What do we call its position? So John will have what number? Index number. John's index number is 0. Index number 0 means this is the first element. Everybody okay with this? Index numbers always start at 0. Then boys, girls, if you are referring to a particular element, boys over here, look, boys over there, look here, look. If you are referring to a specific element, everyone, if you are referring to a specific element, what do? You mention the array name, and in square brackets, what do you mention? The index number. Agree? You mention the index number. You call the array name is student names, no? And then in square brackets, you mention the index number. Then everybody, we learn something a little more complex, which we call what? What do we call these arrays that have rows and columns? 2D arrays, right? Two-dimensional arrays. Two-dimensional arrays where you have rows and columns. When you are referring to, for example, Peter, when I'm referring to Peter, how do we refer to him? We mention the array name, and then we mention what in a 2D array? You mention the array name, and then what did we mention? This would be you first mention the row number or the column number? We mentioned row number first. We first mentioned row number, then we mentioned the column number. Everybody okay with this? Okay, so Peter will be what? What will Peter's address be? Peter is on row number. Peter is on row number what? 1. Peter is on row number 1 because John is on row number 0. Peter is on row number 1, column number 0. You guys know your stuff, huh? Okay. Then I told you guys how you can add up all the values. We manually added up all the values. But today I think we should get the chance. I will teach you all something called loops. Loops are where you can get something to run multiple times. When you learn how loops work, you can use loops to add all the marks up. You get it? I'll be teaching that to you all a little later. Okay, I don't know today or next week. Okay, we'll be learning something called loops where you can get a program to run multiple times. So it will automatically take all the numbers from here, add them all up, divide by the number of elements. Okay, those are all coming up later on. So this is what we call arrays. Everybody, I'm going to move on to something else now, which we call objects. Okay, so lesson number 50, everybody. Can we all create lesson number 50, please? Everybody, we are done with arrays. We saw two types of arrays, 1D arrays and 2D arrays. We are done with that. We now move on to something called objects. Okay, so file, new file, lesson number 50 here. So everybody, do you all remember? Oh, I made a mistake. Everybody, do you all remember when we learned HTML, when we learned CSS, do you all remember how we learned it? We learned feature by feature by feature by feature. We learned tiny parts, we learned, right? And then when we did a past paper question, what did we do? All these tiny parts that we learned, we brought them all together in a past paper question. Agree? Everybody? In HTML also, look here, everyone, in HTML also, we went part by part, how to put headings, how to put paragraphs, how to use break tag, how to use styling attribute. We learned tiny parts. Then when we did a past paper question, what did we do? We brought all these parts together. Remember, right? We so far have done only one past paper question. You remember everything that we learned was brought together in a past paper question. So just like that, guys, in JavaScript, we are learning small parts. When we do a past paper question, all these small parts will be brought together. Okay? Because sometimes, guys, when I teach you all tiny parts, it doesn't make sense. Like, why are we learning this? Where are we ever going to use this? What's the purpose of this? Just bear with me. When we do a past paper question, these tiny parts will all be brought together. Okay, now I'm going to teach you all object. Many of you all will wonder, where are we ever going to use object? And so far, there is no past paper question that uses object. Okay, so object is an exception. Okay, but arrays and what you call arithmetic operators, assignment operators, okay, all these you will be using when we do past paper questions. The only thing is, when it comes to objects, I just remembered I haven't seen a past paper question so far with regards to objects, but we'll still learn it. It's a part of our syllabus. Okay, so everybody, lesson number 15. Let's save it. Lesson number 50 dash. Lesson number 50 dash objects.html. Okay, objects.html. And over here, guys, can you get your opening tags? Title will be objects. The heading will be, okay, objects in JavaScript. Okay. Can you put a paragraph explaining what an object can do? An object can contain many properties in it. Or can contain many properties. And each of these properties can be accessed whenever needed. Okay. So for example, I'm going to open up JavaScript now. Okay. I'm going to open up JavaScript. So guys, how do we start JavaScript? With which tag? With which tag do we start JavaScript? Script tag. We open up our script tag, which means JavaScript is about to start now. Inside JavaScript, guys, I'm going to have an object. Shall I first check whether this is working properly? Let me open up my web page and see, is it working so far? So far, so good. No problems at all yet. Okay, talk to yourselves. So then, boys, girls, let's create an object. And this object is not going to change. It's going to be fixed throughout my program. So the keyword, it's not compulsory, but the keyword that you can use is, if it's not going to change, it's going to have values in it, but these values are not going to change. They're always going to be the same. Const, which means constant. So I'm going to use a const. And this constant, I'm going to call it student1. I'm going to call this student1. Student1 is equal to, now I open parenthesis and I give some properties. Property number 1 will be the name. The name is, it's a string now, everybody. It's text now. So text value should always be inside. Text values, I spoke about variables. Say, for example, a variable A is equal to my name. So A should be equal to my name inside double quotes. If I was talking about my age, do I put double quotes? There is another data type where I don't put double quotes, which is Boolean. If it's yes or no, 1 or 0, true or false. Very good. There's another data type also. I don't put double quotes. So for Boolean values, we don't put double quotes. For numbers, we don't put double quotes. When were you born? For date or time, you don't put double quotes. Okay. So name, I'm going to put over here John. And then I'm going to put a comma and give him another property. What should I talk about? His age is I don't know, 15, comma, his student ID, okay, student ID, his student ID is, I think you should put this first, no, it doesn't matter, but his student ID is, it's a mix of letters and numbers, so you put it inside double quotes, A001, A001. Then we have another student, his details also not going to change, it's always going to be the same, const student 2. He will also have the same properties. Okay, this object will have the same properties except that it is Pam, age is 14, for example, student ID is A002. So now how do we access them? How do we call them? Just like how we call arrays, how we call almost the same. Talk to yourselves, this is an object. An object has multiple properties. Each property can have a value. Okay, so objects have their properties inside curly brackets, or we call them parentheses. Each property ends with a colon, and then we mention the property value. Guys online, talk to yourselves and do this. We are dealing with objects. An object can have multiple properties. Okay, so an object will have its properties inside curly braces or curly brackets, or we call it parenthesis, inside parenthesis. And every property will end with a colon, and then you mention the property value. At the end of a property value, you put a comma to start talking about your next property. Okay, so now I want to basically print their details. I want to say something like this. I want to say John is 15 years, John of student ID so and so. Oh, no, how shall I word it? We'll just take it. John is 15 years while Pam is 14 years. That's what I want to print on my screen. But I want to refer to the object and its properties and its property values. Did you understand what I said? I don't want you all to just type John is 15 and Pam is 14. I want you all to refer to the object, its property and its property value. You get it? So what I can do over here is I can say, guys, using only JavaScript, how do you print something on your screen? What write? Document.write. There is a function called document.write. And what does that function do? It will print whatever you tell it to print. It will print on your body area, whatever you tell it to print. So we use something called document.write. It's a function. And inside its brackets, what do? I want to access student 1. I can say, I want John. I'll first put a comment and mention what I want to say. What do I want to say? John is 15 years old, while Pam is 14 years old. Basically, this is what I want to print on my screen. Okay. So now by referring to the objects and their property values, how do we print it? So John is where? John is inside a constant called student1. So I say student1 dot name. Okay, student1 dot name, concatenate that with, now John is, concatenate that with a space is, concatenate this with space is. Shall we see if this is working? Let's see if this is working. Let me save it. Come and refresh. So far, so good. John is. Guys, like this, do it, okay, part by part, because at the end, when you check it, if there is a problem, you want to know where the problem is. John is, then concatenate with student1 dot age, John is this particular age, and then concatenate with the text years old. Keep a space. John is 15 years old, while then concatenate with, let me see up to here if it's working. Up to here it's working perfectly well. John is 15 years old, while, so Pam is where? Pam is in student2 dot name. Okay, let's see if this is working. While Pam has also appeared on my screen. While Pam concatenate with is, concatenate with student2 dot age, concatenate with years old. Let me see, is it working properly for me? It's working perfectly well for me. Working perfectly well for me. Okay, it's 9:48, 9:50, so you have 1.5 minutes to finish off. Okay. You can go over there, but bear with me for the sets. Do it like this. First, I check that it's up to here, it is okay. Next, it is up to here, it's okay. Next, it is up to here, it's okay. Because now it's simple and there are problems happen. Because in JavaScript, the problem can be there. This entirely not okay. HTML was not like HTML is a place where the problem is that that part doesn't. This is so from top to bottom. It's okay here. It's okay. Yes, that's right. That's the one. Which space? While after while keep a space. Come here for that. Before these are keep a space. After these are keep a space and zero. Okay, plus. No spaces. So how I keep spaces? See my is before my is there is a space, after is there is a space. Before yes there is a space. You know what I'm talking about? You see, I have kept space, 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 space. Yes, everybody, time to move away from here. So now you all know constants, you all know variables, you all know arrays, you all know objects. All these, like I told you so far, I haven't seen any past paper question talk about objects, but constants, variables, arrays heavily used. Okay, so when we do a past paper question, this will all come together. Okay, boys, girls, everybody, shall we move away from here then? Everyone, now let's move on. We are moving on to JavaScript part 2 now. Now we move on to JavaScript part 2. Did I give you all part 2? I gave part 2 to you all? No. Okay, I'll give it to you all next week. Right, boys, girls, everybody. Now things are going to get interesting. Everyone, let's move on to functions. JavaScript functions. Can you open that up? So lesson number 51, file, new file. And I'm going to save this as file save. Lesson number 51 dash functions. You're going to spend quite some time here. Functions.html. And we say save. Lesson number 51 dash functions.html. Can you all get your opening tags, everybody? In title, we'll say functions. In our body heading, we'll say creating JavaScript functions. Okay. Now, can we talk about a function? What does a function do? A function in JavaScript can be programmed to carry out or to perform a set of tasks for the user. Did you all understand this? Read it to yourselves again. A function in JavaScript can be programmed. You can code it to perform a set of tasks for the user. Okay. Whenever called. Whenever you call it, it will perform a set of tasks for you. So we'll start off with something very simple. Let me just make sure that up to here this is working. After I'll change the screen. So up to here, no problems. It's working. My heading has appeared. My paragraph has appeared. No problem so far. Then everybody, we are now going to start scripting. Okay. So everybody, I'm going to do a very simple function. What is this function do? What is this function going to do? Whenever I call this function, it will just print the text on my screen saying, you know what? It will print the text saying, this text is from a JavaScript function. Everybody okay with this? I want a function. It's going to do a very simple task. What's the task it's going to do for me? Whenever I call it, it's going to print on my screen. This text was created using JavaScript functions. Okay. So everybody, how do we create a function? Number one, everyone look at me below. Number one, you have to mention the keyword function. The keyword function must be mentioned. You have to say function. Okay. Then you open, then you give the name of your function. What is the name of my function? So I'll call it what? I'll call it function, or don't use the word function. We can call it what? We'll call it function one below. I'll call it function one. Okay, I'm calling it function one. Now I open brackets. It's a function now, so you have to end it with brackets opened and closed. Later on, I'll teach you what you can do inside these brackets. I'll teach that to you all later on. Then guys, girls, we open up parenthesis, and now we define how this function is going to work. Can everyone look here for a second? Everyone look here for a second. Did you see my cursor went inside? What do we call this feature? Where your cursor goes inside? What do we call this? Everybody, my cursor went inside. When I press enter, my cursor did not start from here. It starts from here. What do we call this feature? In HTML, we did it, but it wasn't important. We did it so that reading will become easy for us. In CSS also, we did it so that reading the code becomes easy for us. In JavaScript, it's compulsory. If you don't do this feature, what's this feature called? Indenting. We call it indenting. Indenting means what? You're aligning your code. In JavaScript, indenting is compulsory. If you don't indent, code doesn't work. Okay? JavaScript indent. So for example, if I type my coding over here, it will not work. The coding that I'm about to type appears inside my function now. So type it inside. You should indent it inside. Everybody okay with this? Okay. In JavaScript, indentation matters. So what do I say over here? Whenever I call function one, what do I want to do? I want to write on my screen document.write. What do we write? This text was printed by calling a JavaScript function. Okay, that's all I want this function to do. So whenever I call function one, what's going to appear on my screen? This is going to appear on my screen. Agree? We all know what document.write does now. Document.write will simply print text on your screen. Okay. So everybody, let's save it and see if you'll see this output on your screen. Saw it? Did you see this output on screen? No? Why no? Others, what about you? Exactly. So guys, you created a function, but you never called it. You never executed it. You just programmed it only, isn't it? I just programmed it. I just created it. I never called it, right? I never told it when to run. Agree with me? I never told when to run. I never called it. I never, like you said, executed it. Give me a second. Okay. So everybody, what happened over here? The output is not appearing on my screen, everyone. You can see the output is not appearing on my screen because I created a function, but I never ever called it. I never ever told it to run. I only programmed it. It's now time to call it. So now you can see outside my function. Can you see my indentation now? My indentation is now in line with the function. And now I'm outside my function. I'm outside it now. Now what do? I call the function run now. So now I call what? Function one. I call function one now. And I say, you know what? Run it. Okay, I'm calling function one. So now when I call function one, what do you all see over here? Something went wrong. I forgot to put the brackets. Everybody, brackets I forgot to put. You have to put your brackets. Now save it. And now when you call it, can you see? It executed and printed this on my screen. Everyone okay with this? This is a very simple function. We are going to learn even more complex ones. Okay? Right. Okay, let's complicate this now. Everybody, what I want to do now is this. What I want to do now is this. Everybody, can you put a comment over here? Or let's put a paragraph over here. This paragraph is going to tell me a function can also be accessed through, my spelling is wrong now, can also be accessed through a variable. Okay, a function can also be accessed through a variable. Okay, all right. Then everybody, below this I'm going to have a paragraph, an empty paragraph. I'm going to give it an ID. ID is going to be equal to para1. Okay, a function can also be accessed through a variable now. Okay, I'll talk about that. For now, everybody can now create a blank paragraph and keep for me. Okay, can you all remove this heading also? I'll get back to you all on this. Just keep only this paragraph. Remove this heading and keep only this blank paragraph. Okay, over here. Right. Then guys, girls, I'm going to try another function with you all. I'm going to use this function to calculate the to calculate what? To calculate the area of a rectangle. Okay, we'll use this to calculate the area of a rectangle. Formula for area of rectangle is what? Length into your height, or your width into your height, isn't it? Okay, so everybody, we are going to have a function over here. We are going to have a function over here. Function is what? This is my function. Function, the name of the function is calculate area. I'll just say area of rectangle. Okay, area of rectangle is the name of my function. Okay, so what do I do over here? What do I do over here? I will, inside my function, I'll have two variables. Variable number one will be let, what do you call? Let height equal, I don't know, I'll say 20. Okay, my height is 20. Let width equal 10. My height is 20 and my width is 10. Now, whenever I call area of rectangle, I want these two values to be multiplied. Okay, I want these two values to be multiplied whenever this function is called. Okay, so now what I can do is I can now say document dot write, or I can even say this document dot get element by ID. Where do I want to print this? In para 1. In para 1 dot inner HTML will be equal to, what do we say over here? The area is, keep a space and concatenate. I don't put plus because I want to join it and do the calculations. So I don't say plus, I will say comma. The area is, let me first, the area is, and then concatenate it with height multiplied by width. Height multiplied by width. Height into width. And then we end it over here. The area of the rectangle is, the area of the rectangle is height into width. Okay, so everybody, I have created my function. Now we'll see if it works. Give me a second. We have a function called area of rectangle. Inside it, we have two variables, a height variable, a width variable. And inside it, I have said, after that, I want you to do the following operation. What's the operation? Using the document object model, I want you to go and access an element with an ID para 1. And for its inner HTML, I want you to print the text. The area of this triangle is, the area of this rectangle is, and then multiply height by width. Okay. So now when I refresh, guys, obviously I don't see anything because I have not executed this function yet. Okay. So now everybody, we are going to call the function now. Okay, we have programmed the function, but we have never called it. So let's call it now. So I'm going to call area of rectangle. I'm going to call this function. Okay, so now let's see if it works. When I come and refresh, the area of this rectangle is, for some reason, the calculation didn't happen. Why didn't the calculation happen? Spellings are correct now. Height into width. So I just put brackets over here. Why didn't the calculation happen? Now let's refresh. Still it's not working. When I put plus, it worked. Everybody replace the comma with the plus. I thought the comma would have worked. Okay, replace the comma with the plus. Okay. I remove the brackets. Also, it still works. Okay, everybody, can you all do this? Okay, better put brackets so you can identify that you have separated it. Better we put brackets. Okay. So now when I call area of rectangle, this happens. Okay, right. I want you to take down one more note over here. I want you to take down one more note inside the function, which is, I'll tell you shortly. Okay. Boys, girls, now can you all take down a short note over here? So for note as in a comment. Okay, I want you to take down a comment. What does the comment say? The comment should say this: the below two variables are local variables, meaning they only work inside this function. Okay, so height and width, you cannot refer to it outside the function. It's not going to work. Nor can you refer to these two variables in a different function. Everybody get my point? These two variables will work only inside area of rectangle function. They will not work anywhere else. Okay, that's what we call local variables. There's another one called global variables. Those are variables that work everywhere. Okay, but for now you all need to know about local variables. Okay, these two variables work only inside this function. Outside this function, if I call them, it will say error. Okay. Okay, you see the output. Okay, see the output. I will say. You see the output? Are there outputs on? Output was C. Okay. Right. Then guys, let's take it to the next level. Everybody. Now what I'm going to do is, everyone, let's move down. I'm going to put a comment over here. Can everyone note this down with me? Working with parameters and arguments. Working with parameters and arguments. Okay, working with parameters and arguments. Can you all create another paragraph for me? And shall I put a background color for it so you all can notice the difference? So I'll create another paragraph. You all took down this comment. Working with parameters and arguments, two new words. Okay, this is a comment. This is a comment. Okay. Right. So everybody, I'm going to create another paragraph. I'll give it a font color of red. So everybody, I'm going to have another paragraph over here. Paragraph tag. Open and close. This paragraph is going to have an ID called para2. Guys, how do I make the content of it red color? Style. Keep going. Equal color is red. I want the color to be red. Can everyone do this? Obviously, there is no content right now for it to show red color, but when it does get content, the content will be red color. Okay, it doesn't have any content for now, but when it does get content, it will make the content red. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is this. What I'm going to do is this. Boys, girls. Okay. Function number 3, calculating the area of a Calculating the perimeter of a rectangle. Okay, calculating the, everyone done over here, no? Now we are going to have another function. This function, I'm going to call it function. I'm going to call it function, not I'm going to call it what? Perimeter. Perimeter of rectangle. Okay, right. Everybody, I'm going to, what am I going to do now? Over here, guys, the answer is going to be printed in para 2. The answer is going to be printed in para 2. Boys, look here below. The answer of the perimeter of this rectangle is going to be printed in para 2, which we just created. So I will say document, I'll be using the document object model to identify that paragraph. I'll be using a method called get element by ID to access para 2. And I want to change the content inside it. So I'll be using a property called inner HTML. Is equal to, what is the text? The perimeter of this rectangle is, guys, what's the formula for perimeter? What's the formula for perimeter? Oh, whoa, where are you going? That is triangle. I'm asking rectangle. Into 2 of what? Perimeter, you basically add all the 4 sides, right? You basically add all the 4 sides. So what we can do is 2 times what? 2 times the value of the height plus 2 times the value of the width. Okay, I'll put this in brackets. Okay, 2 times the height plus 2 times the width. Okay, 2 times the height plus 2 times the width. Now everybody, this is where things get, this is something new for you all. I have told whenever I call perimeter of rectangle, this is what should happen. It should go and access para 2, and inside para 2 it should say the perimeter of this rectangle is, and then it should take 2 multiplied by whatever the height is plus 2 multiplied by whatever the width is. Everybody, every time, now everyone look here. In this function, my width and height is fixed, right? Isn't it? In this function, inside my function itself, I have said what the height and width is. You guys get it? I want an option where the user can enter their width and height. Okay, I want an option where the width and height will keep changing. You get it? So everybody over here, inside perimeter of rectangle function is there now. Inside this function, everybody, inside this function, I'm going to have 2 parameters. Just by heart the words with me. As I give you all different examples, you all will understand how these work. For now, remember, inside the function, I'm going to have 2 parameters. What are the parameters? The height parameter. I forgot to say variable height. Sorry. I'm going to have 2 parameters. The height parameter, comma, the width parameter. I'm going to have 2 parameters inside this function. One is the height parameter. One is the width parameter. Okay. Then guys, girls, when I call this function, I should have done a simple example. No, anyway, it doesn't matter. When I call this function, I'm going to mention what my height and width is. Now here, I did not do that. No, here inside the function, height and width was already defined. Now I'm allowing the user or the developer to keep changing the value. So now what do? I call perimeter of rectangle. I call this function, but now I mention how much is height, I mention how much is width. So I will say, for example, the height is 10 and the width is 20. Everybody okay with this? I am now mentioning how much the height and width is when I call the function. So everybody, can you all stop here for a second? Can you all stop here for a second? Can you all put a note over here? Can you all put a note over here? Height and width are parameters. Height and width are parameters. Okay, everybody, these two are what we call parameters. Then can you all put a note over here? What does the note over here say? 10 and 20 are arguments. Everybody okay with this? 10 and 20 are basically arguments. When you put a value for a parameter, we call it an argument. Can you all remember these words? It may not make proper sense to you all right now, but as we keep doing different examples, this will start making sense to you all. Okay, so for now, what did I tell? When you create the function, we call these parameters. When you put values for the parameters, what do we call them? Arguments. So now I'm calling the function and I'm passing the argument 10 and 20. So everybody logically run this with me, will you? Everyone run this with me. When I run this function, what's going to happen? When I call perimeter of rectangle, 10 is going to go where? 10 is going to go inside height. 20 is going to go inside width. Then what am I saying? Document.getElement by ID. Everyone look here. Access para2. In para2's in HTML, what to do? The perimeter of this rectangle is 2 multiplied by height. What was height? Height was 10, right? So 2 multiplied by 10 plus 2 times width. What was width? 20 went to width, right? So 2 multiplied by 20. Okay. Right. Let's see if this actually works. When I come and refresh it, the perimeter of this rectangle is 60. It is working. Okay. Parameters and arguments. Remember those words. Okay, guys, take it to the next level now. Okay. That's right. Okay. Let's take this to the next level then. Waiting for you. Sorry about that. Right, works for you. Listen up. Area of rectangle, we have called it function. Perimeter of rectangle, we have passed two parameters rectangle. The perimeter, okay. Okay, everybody, I'm going to move on to lesson number 52. I'm jumping to a small section in part 3. Okay, I need to do this section so I can, make functions more advanced for you all. In order to make functions more advanced for you all, I'm going to teach you all this part first. Everybody, can we move on to lesson number 52? And can you all call it prompt? We will do prompt and again we will come back to functions. Okay, lesson number 52. So let's take a new lesson. Everybody, guys online done now? Everybody online, I hope you all are done. I'm going to jump to JavaScript part 3 to teach you all a small part, and then again I'll come back to functions. Okay, so everyone over here, file, new file, and I'm going to save this as lesson number 52, and I'm going to call it prompt. Save it as lesson number 52-prompt.html. Okay, I'll tell you what prompt basically does. Prompt.html. Okay. Okay, so everybody, can you get your opening JavaScript HTML tags? Title will be prompt. Then can you all give you a heading? Heading will be what? Receiving input from the user through JavaScript prompt. Receiving input from the user through JavaScript prompt function. I forgot to mention this. Okay. So everybody, if you want values, if you want input from the user, we will normally be using forms. We will be using forms to get values from the user, to get input from the user. But forms will take time. No, you have to create a form and put a label and put a field, and it takes time. A shortcut is something called prompt. But prompts can be very annoying because they appear like alerts. Why are alerts annoying? What do alerts do? When an alert appears, what happens to all the other content in your web page? You can't access them, right? You have to first deal with the alert. So the same happens with the prompt. A prompt also, it appears as an alert and blocks everything else. You have to first deal with that. Okay? So everyone watch this. I'm going to mention over here. Let's give a paragraph explaining what a prompt is. A prompt appears like an alert, and allows the user to enter data. It can be a value, it can be text, so I'll say data, to enter data. Okay, so let's try this out. Everybody, I'm going to open up JavaScript script, and everybody, I'm going to create a prompt telling the user enter a value. I want to tell the user enter your what? Enter your name. So I'm going to build a prompt. I'm going to say prompt. So prompt is a function. Okay. Sorry, I misspelled it. Prompt is a function. And inside this function, guys, you can mention the message that you want to show the user. What is the message I want to show the user? Enter your name. Okay. Enter your name. This is the prompt. Let me see if it works for me. Everybody saw? The prompt appears on my screen asking me to enter my name. However, when I enter my name and I say okay, nothing happens. Okay, so let's make something happen now. Everybody saw that? No? This is the prompt. Yeah, this is a prompt. And the user can type something. It can be a number, it can be a letter. User can type something. So what I'm going to do now is, everyone, can you all see it's working for you all? Do you all get the prompt? Does it appear? Does it allow you to type something? Yes or no? Okay. Now you guys are entering a value, but that value is going nowhere, right? That value is going nowhere. You know what I'm going to do? The value that the user enters, I'm going to equal it to a variable. So I can use it later on. You get it? So this prompt, I'm going to say, let user input be equal to this prompt. Let user input be equal to this prompt. So whatever value the user types is going to be assigned to the variable user input. Can we put a comment over there explaining it? Whatever value the user enters will be equal to, or will be assigned to user input variable. Okay, whatever value the user enters will be assigned to the user input variable. Okay, then you know what I'm going to do? You know what I'm going to do then to prove it to you all? I'm then going to write a message on my screen. Okay, so I'm going to create a blank heading 2. I'm going to create an empty heading 2 tag, and I'm going to give it an ID of h2. I'll just call it h2, and I'll give it a color. Style is equal to color. Color is red. Okay. I have an empty heading 2 tag with a font color of red and an ID of h2. Now what do we do? Now I'm going to do this. I'm going to say, I'm going to use my document object model to access H2. So I'm going to say document, and the method I'm going to use is get element by ID, get element by ID, and the ID that I'm referring to, the element I'm referring to is H2, and the property I'll be using is in HTML. I want to control the text, the HTML content inside it. Is equal to what? Welcome, welcome, and then concatenate that with whatever the user input variable is. Okay, concatenate that with whatever the user input variable was. Let me see if it's working for me first. I want to make sure it's working for me. So guys, girls, look here, refresh it, enter your name. I'll type my name over here, and when I say okay, there you are, welcome, and my name appears. You all know the logic behind it, right? You all know the logic behind it, right? When this prompt ran, whatever value the user put was assigned to the variable user input. Then what did I do? I said print welcome plus whatever user input is equal to. Are we good? Can you all try this now? Okay, so understand the logic behind it. Guys online, everybody okay with this, right? I hope you all understand the talk. Explain to yourself the logic behind it. You have a prompt. Whatever the user enters in the prompt will be equal to the variable user input. Then what are you doing? Using the document object model, you're accessing H2, and in HTML, you're printing the text welcome and concatenating that with the variable user input. That's what you're doing. Right, let's take it to the next level then. Everyone. Everyone, let's take it to the next level then. I want to take attendance. Give me a second, please. Then everyone, boys, girls, everybody, can we move on to lesson number 53, functions 2? Let's make functions even more complex now. Everybody, lesson 53 dash functions 2.html. Lesson 53. So file, new file. Let's save this as lesson number 53 dash functions 2. Functions 2.html. Okay. Functions 2.html. And now we'll say save. Okay. Then everybody, in functions 2, this is what I want to do. Can you all get the opening tags again? HTML. Okay. Title will be functions 2. The heading is going to say working with JavaScript functions and prompts. And prompts. Working with JavaScript functions and prompts. Then everybody, H2 will say determining, but I didn't teach you all if statement yet, no? I didn't teach you all if yet. So how shall we do this? What I'll do here is calculating. Everyone change H2 because I didn't teach you all if condition yet. No. So calculating the area of a square. Calculating the area of a square. Okay. So then everybody, I'm going to have a paragraph to display the answer. I'll keep that paragraph empty. ID is equal to para1. Okay. Then I'm going to open up JavaScript. I'm going to open up my script tag. In my script tag, everybody, I'm going to create a function. You know what this function will do? This function is called area of square. This is the name of my function. Area of square. You know what this function does? This function will basically, will have a variable height. Sorry, let height is equal to, ask the user for it. So we say prompt. Enter the height of the square. Okay, so whatever value the user enters will be assigned to the variable height. Then we have another variable that says width equal, again I'll copy and paste this. I want it to be a prompt. What does a prompt do? Enter the width of the square. Then everybody, then what do I do? After I have got the height and width, I want to use my document object model to access para1. So then I will say document dot, I'll be using the method called get element by ID, and I will be accessing para1 and its content. So I will be using dot in HTML. Dot in HTML is equal to what do we say here? The area of this square is, and then concatenate it with height, variable height into variable width. Okay. So everybody else saw this. I have a function. This function has two variables. These two variables will get values from the user. Height will get the value from the user. Width will get the value from the user. Then what do? We multiply these two and print it in para1. What is remaining for me to do, guys? Execute the function, call the function. Only thing remaining for me to do is to call the function. So I'll call area of square. I'm calling area of square. Everybody, can you give me a second to see if it works? Give me a second to see if it works. Functions to enter the height. I'll put 10. Enter the width. I'll put 5. The area of this square is 50. It's working quite fine so far. Washroom, we are going to take a break now. You carry on. If it's an urgent, you carry on. And we'll be breaking after this. Everybody, first make sure this is working for you. I want to make one more modification to it. I want you all to also ask the user for the color that they would like to see the answer in. Just one more thing. Ask the user what color would you like to see the answer in, and then change the answer to that color. Ask the user what color would you like to see the answer in. And then whatever color the user types, the paragraph should appear in that color. After the break, I'll do my method. For now, I'll just try and see. We have 2 minutes before our break time. You understood? I want you all to ask one more question from the user. What color would you like the answer in? Then the user will say red or white or whatever, no? Then the answer should appear in that color. Para 1's answer should be in that particular color. So I'll just do one thing and give you all the break. So we'll have another variable called what? Let user color. And then we print a prompt. What will the prompt say? What color would you like the answer in? Whatever color the user enters is going into the variable user color. Boys, girls, everybody over here. Can we have a look over here? So I told you all one more thing. I want the color also to change. So, sorry. I also want the color also to change. So what am I going to do? I'm going to add one more sentence, boys. I'm going to use my document object model again. Once more, I'm going to use it. And what am I going to say this time? Document dot get element by ID. Which element am I referring to? Para 1. Para 1's color I want to change. You have to mention the property first. What's the property? I want to access its style. Its style's color I want to access. Dot style dot color. You mention the attribute, then you mention the property. Dot style dot color is equal to whatever the user type. What is the so the value that the user type is inside the variable user color, right? The color that the user types is assigned to which variable? User color. So what do I do over here? User color. Okay. Dot style dot color is equal to the variable user color. User color contains the color that the user typed. So shall we see if this actually works? When I refresh my web page, question number 1, enter the height. I'll say 5. Enter the width. I'll say 3. Enter the what color would you like your answer in? I'll say, I don't know, orange. Watch your spellings. If the spellings are wrong, it won't work. And you can see over here, I got my answer in orange color. Okay. Come on, everybody. Okay, so everybody, we are now going to move on to an if function. How do we work with if statements? Okay, just give me a quick second to check on something, whether I am going in the correct order. So everybody, yes, now we move on to conditional statements where we deal with the if statement. Okay, so everybody, are you all done with this? Everybody, okay, now we're learning part by part, and very soon you're going to join all these and solve big Java. Now there is a big JavaScript question also in every past paper. The last question is a major JavaScript question. Every past paper, the last question, question number 6, is generally a major JavaScript question. Okay, and question number 4 is a major HTML CSS question. Okay, right. Shall we move on to if conditions then? So everybody, file, new file, lesson number 54. Let's save this as lesson number 54. 54 dash if condition dot HTML. If condition dot HTML. Okay. So let's get down our opening HTML tags. Let's give the title if condition. if condition. And over here, I'm going to have a heading that says working with JavaScript's if condition. Okay. Working with JavaScript's if condition. So let's put a paragraph over here. Using JavaScript, we will be checking the student's mark, the student's entered mark, and if mark is above 50, if the mark is 50 or above, passed will be displayed, otherwise failed will be displayed. Are we okay with this? If the entered mark is 50 or above, we say passed. Otherwise, anything else that's entered, we say failed. So we are going to use JavaScript to check the user's input, and then we are going to display either passed or failed. Let me check up to here. Is my heading and paragraph working? Let me go and open up my web page. Lesson number 54. So far, so good. So far, heading has appeared. Text has also appeared. Right. Then guys, girls, shall we ask students to start entering their mark? Okay. So I'm going to open up JavaScript now. I'm going to start asking users to enter their mark. So I'll be using prompt again. Okay. I'll be using prompt again. Later on, I'll show you how to do this using a form. I'll be using prompt. Okay. So I'll say prompt, enter your mark here. Enter your mark here. And whatever value the user enters here, I'm going to assign it to a variable entered mark. I'm going to assign it to a variable entered mark. So whatever value the user enters will be assigned to the variable entered mark. Let entered mark be equal to the prompt, enter your mark here. Then I'm going to run an if condition. I'm going to check the value. Okay, I'm going to check the value now. Let me see if this prompt is appearing on my screen. So when I refresh, yes, the prompt is appearing. It says enter your mark here. So it's working so far. Okay. Then everybody, what I'm going to do over here is I'm going to say something like this. I'm going to start my if condition now. If is also a function where it can check a value and give you an output. Okay. If is also a function. So there has to be bracket. So now what I'm going to say is if, what's my condition now? What's my condition? If entered mark, if variable entered mark is greater than or equal to 50. If entered mark is greater than or equal to 50, what do I want to do? I want to display an alert, window dot alert. I want an alert that will say what? Congratulations, you have passed. Congratulations, you have passed. Okay. So if the entered mark variable is greater than or equal to 50, immediately alert appears saying, congratulations, you have passed. Everybody, shall I just see if this is working for me? When I refresh this, enter your mark, I'll purposely put 90. It says, congratulations, you have passed. But what happens if I put a mark less than 50? I'll put 35, 34, nothing happens. Did we program what to do if it's less than 50? We never did that part, okay? We're going to do that part also shortly. Okay, so what if the user enters a value that's less than 50? We haven't told what to do for that. Okay, so we have something called if, and we have another one called else. If this happens, do this, otherwise, else, do this. Not working. Okay, so everybody, the next part will be else. And guys, see the indentation, can you all see? This is inside the if condition. It has to be indented inside, otherwise it's not going to run. Okay, so then let's try else. So just like we type if, we'll also type else. So if anything else happens, okay, user types letters, user types puts a number less than 50, anything else happens, else, what do we do? Open parenthesis and say window dot alert, you have failed. You have failed. Okay, so now let's purposely put a lower mark and see what happens. So when I refresh, pop-up comes, enter your mark here. I'll say 15. You have failed. Everyone okay with this? Okay. So everybody, if condition, quite simple. You mention what to do and what else to do. Okay. You mention your condition and what is the output, and then you mention your else condition and what is the not else condition. You mention else and mention what the output should be. Okay. Shall we make it even more complicated now? Okay. Let's look at an advanced version of if. Let's look at an advanced version of if. If, else, if. Okay. Can you guys note this down? Lesson number 55. Let's make it a little more advanced. Now we have only if and else over here now. What if we can have if, else if, else if, else if, and then else? Okay. So that didn't make any sense to you all. I'll show it to you all. I'll show it to you all. Everybody, can you all create lesson number 55? I'll come to you. File new. Lesson number 55. If, else, if condition. Okay. If, else, if condition. Lesson number 55. If, else, if condition dot html. If, else, if condition. If, else, if condition. That is appearing. Okay. If, else, if condition dot html. So I'm going to give you all some text now. So everybody, can you all get down HTML snippet? The title will be if, else, if, condition. Then can you have the heading over here? Working with multiple conditions. Working with multiple conditions. Then I'm going to explain something to you all. Okay. I want you all to have a paragraph that explains to students the grading structure. Can I put a heading over here? We'll take a scenario, grading structure. Grading structure. And over here, what do? We say 85 to 100 is equivalent to A star. Okay, then put a BR tag. I'll put a BR tag. In the next line, I will say 60 or 70 to 84 is equivalent to A. Put another BR tag and I say 50 to 69 is equivalent to B. We should put the word grade, no? A star grade, A grade, okay, B grade. Then put a BR tag, break it, and then we say what? 35 to 49. 35 to 49 is equivalent to F grade. Then we put a BR tag and we say anything below 35 is equivalent to U grade. End of paragraph. Can you all make sure that this paragraph looks all right? Everybody? Let's refresh it. So far, so good, everyone. Saw this? I have explained the grading structure over here. Then below this, I want to have a blank H3 tag. It's going to be empty. I'm going to give it an ID called what? I'm going to give it an ID called grade. Just put another paragraph over here that says your grade is displayed below. Below is your grade, is your achieved grade. Below is your achieved grade. So in the below heading, the grade is going to appear based on what the user typed. Okay. Below is your achieved grade. So now we are going to open up an if condition with multiple conditions inside it. Okay. So you all have to help me here. So then boys, girls, We then open up our script tag because we're going to use JavaScript to judge, to determine the grade that the student has achieved. Okay, so what do we do here? First, we ask the user to enter the mark now. We need to first get their mark. So I'll have a variable called entered mark. I have a variable called entered mark, and I'm going to equivalent it. I'm going to, what do you call, equal it to a prompt that tells a prompt function that says what? Enter your subject mark. Enter your subject mark here. So whatever mark the user enters here will be equal to variable entered mark. Whatever value the user enters in that prompt will go to the variable entered mark. Okay. What am I going to do over here? I'm going to check them one by one. First, I'm going to check if entered mark 85 to 100 no. So if entered mark is greater than or equal to 85, what do we do? What do we do? Where do I print the grade? I print the grade in H3, no? So I'm going to use my document object model to access H3 here. So document dot, the method I'll be using is get element by ID. The ID that I'm referring to, I want it to appear inside H3 now. So H3's ID is grade. Dot in HTML should be equal to what? Should be equal to A star. If it is greater than or equal to 85, in the grade heading, the letter A star must appear. Okay. So shall we first check and see if 85 and above is working? We'll first make sure that this is working. So I'll purposely put something above 85 to see if A star appears. So when I refresh this, I'll put 86. And when I say OK, lovely. It says over here, A star. Everyone saw this? Okay, the first condition is working. Now we have to program it for the remaining conditions. You had a problem there? Come on. No. Okay. Now we need to program it for the others. So now use else if and program the others. Else if it is above 80, what? If it is above 70, the grading will be A. Else if it's above 50, it will be a B. Adil, what? Come on. So else if what is my condition? Else if entered mark is greater than or equal to 70, then open parenthesis and define what to do. I'll copy and paste this, no time to type. Document.get element by ID, it will become A. Remove the star. Shall we check and see if A is working? So I'll purposely enter 75 now and see if A is appearing. 75, A has appeared on my screen. Second condition is also working without a problem. Then let's do the next one. We can now just keep copying and pasting. We can just keep copying and pasting now. So I'll copy and paste this. Control C, Control V. Else if entered mark is greater than 50, greater than or equal to 50, we display B. Let me see if B is working. So I'll purposely enter 55. Refresh 55. It says B, working perfectly well. Then again I'll copy and paste. Else if entered mark is greater than or equal to 35, it will be F. So I'll purposely put 45 and see. So when I refresh, I put 45. It says F, working perfectly well. And then finally, if it doesn't fulfill any of those, then what do we do? Else, what do we do? Document.getElement by ID. Anything else happens, what do we display? U. If anything else happens, the output is going to be U. Okay, so now we refresh it. I'll put 23. It says output is U. Okay. Come on.